Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, where we are associating with the liberated soul, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, through the sound vibration of his transcendental literatures, verse by verse, chapter by chapter, canto by canto. We're working through the Srimad-Bhagavatam. We welcome all of you out there in cyberspace who are taking this journey with us. Thank you for being with us. Okay. We're going to read now, as we do every day, Sanatana Goswami's prayer glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam from the Sri Krishna Lila Stava, verses 412 to 416, in case you want to get a book, by Srila Sanatana Goswami. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwando Ditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Mannishtadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin adini chocha katakara hanamun chagadachin mam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. The history of the life of Ajamila. Canto 6, Chapter 1. We're beginning with text 16. My dear king, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord, and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and the other methods of atonement I have previously described. Purport. Tat Purusha refers to a preacher of Krishna consciousness, such as the spiritual master. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Bhaye Chekeva. Without serving a bona fide spiritual master, an ideal Vaishnava, who can be delivered from the clutches of Maya. This idea is also expressed in many other places. Srimad-Bhagavatam 552 says, Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimukte. If one desires liberation from the clutches of Maya, one must associate with a pure devotee, Mahatma. A Mahatma is one who engages 24 hours daily in the loving service of the Lord. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:13, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso gatva buddharamavyayam. O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Thus, the symptom of a Mahatma is that he has no engagement other than service to Krishna. One must render service to a Vaishnava in order to get freed from sinful reactions, revive one's original Krishna consciousness, and be trained in how to love Krishna. This is the result of Mahatma Seva. Of course, if one engages in the service of a pure devotee, the reactions of one's sinful life are vanquished automatically. Devotional service is necessary. Devotional service is necessary not to drive away any insignificant stock of sins, but to awaken our dormant love for Krishna. As fog is vanquished at the first glimpse of sunlight, one's sinful reactions are automatically vanquished as soon as one begins serving a pure devotee. No separate endeavor is required. We should turn off this fan. It's the second one from the right. No, second from the left. It's a good fan. Takes a long time. Okay. The word Krishnarpita Prana refers to a devotee who dedicates his life to serving Krishna, not to being saved from the path to hellish life. A devotee is Narayana Parayana or Vasudeva Parayana, which means that the path of Vasudeva, or the devotional path, is his life and soul. Narayana Para Sarve Na Kutas Chana Bibyati. Bhagavatam 6:17-28. Such a devotee is not afraid of going anywhere. There is a path toward liberation in the higher planetary systems and a path toward the hellish planets. But a Narayana Para devotee is unafraid wherever he is sent. He simply wants to remember Krishna wherever he may be. Such a devotee is unconcerned with hell and heaven. He is simply attached to rendering service to Krishna. When a devotee is put into hellish conditions, he accepts them as Krishna's mercy. Tat tenu kampam susamikshimana. Bhagavatam 10:14-8. He does not protest, "Oh, I am such a great devotee of Krishna. Why have I been put into this misery?" Instead, he thinks, "This is Krishna's mercy." Such an attitude is possible for a devotee who engages in the service of Krishna's representative. That is the secret of success. Text 17. The path followed by pure devotees who are well behaved and fully endowed with the best qualifications is certainly the most auspicious path in this material world. It is free from fear and it is authorized by the Shastras. Purport. One should not think that the person who takes to bhakti is one who cannot perform the ritualistic ceremonies recommended in the Karmakanda section of the Vedas, or is not sufficiently educated to speculate on spiritual subjects. Mayavadis generally allege that the bhakti path is for women and illiterates. This is a groundless accusation. The bhakti path is followed by the most learned scholars, such as the Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Ramanujacharya. These are the actual followers of the bhakti path. Regardless of whether or not one is educated or aristocratic, one must follow in their footsteps. Mahajano yenagata sapanta. One must follow the path of the Mahajans. The Mahajans are those who have taken to the path of devotional service. Shushila sadavo yatra narayana parayanaha. For these great personalities are the perfect persons. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 5.18.12, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate sudaha. One who has unflinching devotion to the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. The less intelligent, however, misunderstand the bhakti path and therefore allege that it is for one who cannot execute ritualistic ceremonies or speculate. As confirmed here by the word sadrichchina, bhakti is the path that is appropriate, not the paths of karmakanda and jnanakanda. Mayavadis may be shushila, sadhava, well-behaved saintly persons, but there is nevertheless some doubt about whether they are actually making progress, for they have not accepted the path of bhakti. On the other hand, those who follow the path of the acharyas are shushila and sadhava, but furthermore their path is akutobhaya, which means free from fear. One should fearlessly follow the 12 Mahajans and their line of disciplic succession, and thus be liberated from the clutches of Maya. Text 18. My dear king, as a pot containing liquor cannot be purified even if washed in the waters of many rivers, non-devotees cannot be purified by processes of atonement even if they perform them very well. Purport. To take advantage of the methods of atonement, one must be at least somewhat devoted. Otherwise, there is no chance of one's being purified. It is clear from this verse that even those who take advantage of karmakanda and jnanakanda, but are not at least slightly devoted, cannot be purified simply by following these other paths. The word prayaschitani is plural in number to indicate both karmakanda and jnanakanda. Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, karmakanda, jnanakanda, kevala visharabandha. Thus Narottam Das Thakur compares the paths of karmakanda and jnanakanda to pots of poison. Liquor and poison are in the same category. According to this verse from Srimad-Bhagavatam, a person who has heard a good deal about the path of devotional service, but who is not attached to it, who is not Krishna conscious, is like a pot of liquor. Such a person cannot be purified without at least a slight touch of devotional service. Something's going on over there? Everything's okay? Okay. Text 19. Although not having fully realized Krishna, persons who have even once surrendered completely unto his lotus feet, and who have become attracted to his name, form, qualities, and pastimes, are completely freed of all sinful reactions, for they have thus accepted the true method of atonement. Even in dreams, such surrendered souls do not see Yamaraj or his order carriers, who are equipped with ropes to bind the sinful. Purport. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. This same principle is described here. Sakrin manak Krishna padartha vindayo. If by studying Bhagavad Gita one decides to surrender to Krishna, he is immediately freed from all sinful reactions. It is also significant that Shukadeva Goswami, having several times repeated the words Vasudeva Parayana and Narayana Parayana, finally says Krishna Padaravindayo. Thus he indicates that Krishna is the origin of both Narayana and Vasudeva. Even though Narayana and Vasudeva are not different from Krishna, simply by surrendering to Krishna, one fully surrenders to all his expansions, such as Narayana, Vasudeva, and Govinda. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:7, Matat Paratanam Nanya, there is no truth superior to me. There are many names and forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Krishna is the supreme form. Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. Therefore, Krishna recommends to neophyte devotees that one should surrender unto him only, Mam Ekam. Because neophyte devotees cannot understand what the forms of Narayana, Vasudeva, and Govinda are, Krishna directly says, Mam Ekam. Herein, this is also supported by the verse Krishna Padaravindayo. Narayana does not speak personally, but Krishna, or Vasudeva, does, as in Bhagavad Gita, for example. Therefore, to follow the direction of Bhagavad Gita means to surrender unto Krishna, and to surrender in this way is the highest perfection of Bhakti Yoga. Parikshit Maharaj had inquired from Shukadeva Goswami how one can be saved from falling into the various conditions of hellish life. In this verse, Shukadeva Goswami answers that a soul who has surrendered to Krishna certainly cannot go to Naraka, hellish existence. To say nothing of going there, even in his dreams, he does not see Yamaraj or his order carriers who are able to take one there. In other words, if one wants to save himself from falling into Naraka, hellish life, he should fully surrender to Krishna. The word sakrit is significant because it indicates that if one sincerely surrenders to Krishna once, he is saved even if by chance he falls down by committing sinful activities. Therefore Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:30, Apichet sudurachado bhajate mamananya bhak sadureva samantavyak samyak vyavasito hisaha. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. If one never for a moment forgets Krishna, he is safe even if by chance he falls down by committing sinful acts. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 240, the Lord also says, Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayo navidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Elsewhere in the Gita, 640, the Lord says, Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tatagachchiti. One who performs auspicious activity is never overcome by evil. The highest kalyana, auspicious activity, is to surrender to Krishna. That is the only path by which to save oneself from falling down into hellish life. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has confirmed this as follows. Kaivalyam narakayate tridashapur akasha pushpayate durdandendriyakalpasarpa patali prokhata dangstrayate vishwam purna sukayate vidimahendra dishchaki tayate yat karunya kataksha vaibhavatatam tam goram Vaibhavavadham tam gorame vastu maha. That's from Chaitanya Chandramrita 5. The sinful actions of one who is surrendered unto Krishna are compared to a snake with its poison fangs removed. Protkata dungstrayate. Such a snake is no longer to be feared. Of course, one should not commit sinful activities on the strength of having surrendered to Krishna. However, even if one who is surrendered to Krishna happens to do something sinful because of his former habits, such sinful actions no longer have a destructive effect. Therefore, one should adhere to the lotus feet of Krishna very tightly and serve him under the direction of the spiritual master. Thus, in all conditions, one will be akuto bhayam, free from fear. Text 20. In this regard, learned scholars and saintly persons describe a very old historical incident involving a discussion between the order carriers of Lord Vishnu and those of Yamaraj. Please hear of this from me. Purport. The Puranas, or old histories, are sometimes neglected by unintelligent men who consider their descriptions mythological. Actually, the descriptions of the Puranas, or the old histories of the universe, are factual, although not chronological. The Puranas record the chief incidents that have occurred over many millions of years, not only on this planet, but also on other planets within the universe. Therefore, all learned and realized Vedic scholars speak with references to the incidents in the Puranas. Srila Rupa Goswami accepts the Puranas to be as important as the Vedas themselves. Therefore, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.101, he quotes the following verse from the Brahmayamala. Chuti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Bina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpata Yaiva Kalpate. Devotional service of a Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. A devotee of Krishna must refer not only to the Vedas, but also to the Puranas. One should not foolishly consider the Puranas mythological. If they were mythological, Shukadeva Goswami would not have taken the trouble to recite the old historical incidents concerning the life of Ajamila. Now the history begins as follows. Text 21. In the city known as Kanyakubja, there was a Brahmana named Ajamila, who married a prostitute maidservant and lost all his Brahminical qualities because of the association of that low-class woman. Purport. The fault of illicit connection with women is that it makes one lose all Brahminical qualities. In India, there is still a class of servants called Shudras, whose maidservant wives are called Shudranis. Sometimes people who are very lusty establish relationships with such maidservants and sweeping women, since in the higher statuses of society they cannot indulge in the habit of woman hunting, which is strictly prohibited by social convention. Ajamil, a qualified Brahmana youth, lost all his Brahminical qualities because of his association with a prostitute, but he was ultimately saved because he had begun the process of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, in the previous verse, Shukadeva Goswami spoke of the person who has only once surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord, Manak Krishna Padaravindayo, or has just begun the Bhakti Yoga process. Bhakti Yoga begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Excuse me. Hearing and chanting of Lord Vishnu's names, as in the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chanting is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declares, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatir Anyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. The process of chanting the holy name of the Lord is always superbly effective, but it is especially effective in this age of Kali. Its practical effectiveness will now be explained by Shukadev Goswami through the history of Ajamila, who was freed from the hands of the Yamadutas simply because of chanting the holy name of Narayana. Parikshit Maharaj's original question was how to be freed from falling down into hell or into the hands of the Yamadutas. In reply, Shukadev Goswami is citing this old historical example to convince Parikshit Maharaj of the potency of Bhakti Yoga, which begins simply with the chanting of the Lord's name. All the great authorities of Bhakti Yoga recommend the devotional process beginning with the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, Tan Nama, Grahanadibi. Text 22. This fallen Brahmana, Ajamila, gave trouble to others by arresting them, by cheating them in gambling, or by directly plundering them. This was the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. Purport. This verse indicates how degraded one becomes simply by indulging in illicit sex with a prostitute. Illicit sex is not possible with a chaste or aristocratic woman, but only with unchaste Shudras. The more society allows prostitution and illicit sex, the more impetus it gives to cheaters, thieves, plunderers, drunkards, and gamblers. Therefore, we first advise all the disciples in our Krishna consciousness movement to avoid illicit sex, which is the beginning of all abominable life, and which is followed by meat eating, gambling, and intoxication, one after another. Of course, restraint is very difficult, but it is quite possible if one surrenders to Krishna, since all these abominable habits gradually become distasteful for a Krishna conscious person. If illicit sex is allowed to increase in society, however, the entire society will be condemned, for it will be full of rogues, thieves, cheaters, and so forth. Text 23. My dear king, while he spent his time in abominable sinful activities to maintain his family of many sons, 88 years of his life passed by. Text 24. That old man Ajamila had 10 sons, of whom the youngest was a baby named Narayana. Since Narayana was the youngest of all the sons, he was naturally very dear to both his father and his mother. Purport. The word pravayasa indicates Ajamila's sinfulness, because although he was 88 years old, he had a very young child. According to Vedic culture, one should leave home as soon as he has reached 50 years of age. One should not live at home and go on producing children. Sex life is allowed for 25 years, between the ages of 25 and 45, or at the most 50. After that, one should give up the habit of sex life and leave home as a vanaprastha, and then properly take sannyas. Ajamila, however, because of his association with the prostitute, lost all Brahminical culture and became most sinful, even in his so-called household life. Text 25. Because of the child's broken language and awkward movements, Old Ajamila was very much attached to him. He always took care of the child and enjoyed the child's activities. Purport. Here it is clearly mentioned that the child Narayana was so young that he could not even speak or walk properly. Since the old man was very much attached to the child, he enjoyed the child's activities, and because the child's name was Narayana, the old man always chanted the holy name of Narayana. Although he was referring to the small child and not to the original Narayana, the name of Narayana is so powerful that even by chanting his son's name, he was becoming purified. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore declared that if one's mind is somehow or other attracted to the holy name of Krishna, tasmat kena pyapayena manak Krishna niveshayet, one is on the path of liberation. It is customary in human society for parents to give their children names like Krishna Das, Govinda Das, Narayana Das, and Vrindavan Das. Thus they chant the names Krishna, Govinda, Narayana, and Vrindavan and get the chants to be purified. Text 26. When Ajamil chewed food and ate it, he called the child to chew and eat. And when he drank, he called the child to drink also. Always engaging in taking care of the child and calling his name, Narayana, Ajamil could not understand that his own time was now exhausted and that death was upon him. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is kind to the conditioned soul. Although this man completely forgot Narayana, he was calling his child, saying, Narayana, please come eat this food. Narayana, please come drink this milk. Somehow or other, therefore he was attached to the name Narayana. This is called Agyata Sukriti. Although calling for his son, he was unknowingly chanting the name of Narayana. And the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so transcendently powerful that his chanting was being counted and recorded. Text 27. When the time of death arrived for the foolish Ajamil, he began thinking exclusively of his son Narayana. Purport. In the second canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, 216, Shukadev Goswami says, Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinishtaya Janmalabha Padak Pumsam Ante Narayana Smritihi. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by acquirement of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of one's occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Somehow or other, Ajamil consciously or unconsciously chanted the name of Narayana at the time of death, Ante Narayana Smriti, and therefore he became all perfect simply by concentrating his mind on the name of Narayana. It may also be concluded that Ajamil, who was the son of a Brahmana, was accustomed to worshipping Narayana in his youth, because in every Brahmana's house there is worship of the Narayana Shila. This system is still present in India. In a rigid Brahmana's house there is Narayana Seva, worship of Narayana. Therefore, although the contaminated Ajamil was calling for his son by concentrating his mind on the holy name of Narayana, he remembered the Narayana he had very faithfully worshipped in his youth. In this regard, Srila Sridhar Swami expressed his verdict as follows. According to the Bhakti Siddhanta, it is to be analyzed that because Ajamil constantly chanted his son's name, Narayana, he was elevated to the platform of bhakti. although he did not know it. Similarly, Srila Viraraghava Acharya gives this opinion. Although at the time of death he was chanting the name of his son, he nevertheless concentrated his mind upon the holy name of Narayana. Srila Vijayadwaj Tirtha gives a similar opinion. And then it's a lot of Sanskrit. I won't read the prose. It's too hard. Directly or indirectly, Ajamil factually remembered Narayana at the time of death. Ante. Narayana Smriti. Text 28 and 29. Ajamil then saw 3 awkward persons with deformed bodily features, fierce, twisted faces, and hair standing erect on their bodies. With ropes in their hands, they had come to take him away to the abode of Yamaraj. When he saw them, he was extremely bewildered, and because of attachment to his child, who was playing a short distance away, Ajamil began to call him loudly by his name. Thus, with tears in his eyes, he somehow or other chanted the holy name of Narayana. Purport. A person who performs sinful activities performs them with his body, mind, and words. Therefore, 3 order carriers from Yamaraj came to take Ajamil to Yamaraj's abode. Fortunately, even though he was referring to his son, Ajamil chanted the 4 syllables of the Harinama, Narayana, and therefore the order carriers of Narayana, the Vishnudutas, also immediately arrived there. Because Ajamil was extremely afraid of the ropes of Yamaraj, he chanted the Lord's name with tearful eyes. Actually, however, he never meant to chant the holy name of Narayana. He meant to call his son. Text 30. My dear king, the order carriers of Vishnu, the Vishnudutas, immediately arrived when they heard the holy name of their master from the mouth of the dying Ajamil, who had certainly chanted without offense, because he had chanted in complete anxiety. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks, Hari Kirtanam Nishampata Nishamyapatam Katam Bhuta Sibartur Nama Brubataha. The order carriers of Lord Vishnu came because Ajamil had chanted the holy name of Narayana. They did not consider why he was chanting. While chanting the name of Narayana, Ajamil was actually thinking of his son, but simply because they heard Ajamil chanting the Lord's name, the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnudutas, immediately came for Ajamil's protection. Hari Kirtana is actually meant to glorify the holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities of the Lord. Ajamil, however, did not glorify the form, qualities, or paraphernalia of the Lord. He simply chanted the holy name. Nevertheless, that chanting was sufficient to cleanse him of all sinful activities. As soon as the Vishnudutas heard their master's name being called, being chanted, they immediately came. In this regard, Srila Vijayadwaj Tirtha remarks, Anena putra sneham antarena prachina drishta balad udbhutaya bhaktya bhagavan nama sankirtanam kritam iti gyayate. Ajamil chanted the name of Narayana because of his excessive attachment to his son. Nevertheless, because of his past good fortune in having rendered devotional service to Narayana, he apparently chanted the holy name in full devotional service and without offenses. Text 31. The order carriers of Yamaraj were snatching the soul from the core of the heart of Ajamil, the husband of the prostitute. But with resounding voices, the messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas, forbade them to do so. Purport. A Vaishnava, one who has surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, is always protected by Narayan, by Lord Vishnu's order carriers. Because Ajamila had chanted the holy name of Narayana, the Vishnu Dutas not only immediately arrived on the spot, but also at once ordered the Yamadutas not to touch him. By speaking with resounding voices, the Vishnu Dutas threatened to punish the Yamadutas as they continued trying to snatch Ajamila's soul from his heart. The order carriers of Yamaraj have jurisdiction over all sinful entities, but the messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas, are capable of punishing anyone, including Yamaraj, if he wrongs a Vaishnava. Materialistic scientists do not know where to find the soul within the body with their material instruments, but this verse clearly explains that the soul is within the core of the heart, Hridaya. It is from the heart that the Yamadutas were extracting the soul of Ajamila. Similarly, we learn that the Supersoul, Lord Vishnu, is also situated within the heart. Ishvarat sarvabhutanam vriddhishera junatishtati. In the Upanishads, it is said that the Supersoul and the individual soul are living in the same tree of the body as two friendly birds. The Supersoul is said to be friendly because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind to the original soul that when the original soul transmigrates from one body to another, the Lord goes with him. Furthermore, according to the desire and karma of the individual soul, the Lord, through the agency of Maya, creates another body for him. The heart of the body is a mechanical arrangement. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 1861, Ishvarat sarvabhutanam vriddhishera junatishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Yantra means a machine, such as an automobile. The driver of the machine of the body is the individual soul, who is also its director or proprietor. But the Supreme Proprietor is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One's body is created through the agency of Maya, karmana, daiva, netrena, and according to one's activities in this life, another vehicle is created, again under the supervision of Daivi Maya. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. At the appropriate time, one's next body is immediately chosen, and both the individual soul and the super soul transfer to that particular bodily machine. This is the process of transmigration. During transmigration from one body to the next, the soul is taken away by the order carriers of Yamaraj and put into a particular type of hellish life, Naraka, in order to be accustomed to the condition in which he will live in the next body. Text 32. When the order carriers of Yamaraj, the son of the sun god, were thus forbidden, they replied, "Who are you, sirs, that have the audacity to challenge the jurisdiction of Yamaraj?" Purport. According to the sinful activities of Ajamila, he was within the jurisdiction of Yamaraj, the supreme judge appointed to consider the sins of the living entities. When forbidden to touch Ajamila, the order carriers of Yamaraj were surprised because they had never been hindered in the execution of their duty by anyone within the three worlds. Text 33. Dear sirs, whose servants are you? Where have you come from? And why are you forbidding us to touch the body of Ajamila? Are you demigods from the heavenly planets? Are you sub-demigods? Or are you the best of devotees? Purport. The most significant word used in this verse is Siddha Sattama, which means the best of the perfect. In Bhagavad Gita 7.3 it is said, Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit yatiti siddhaye. Out of millions of persons, one may try to become siddha, perfect, or in other words, self-realized. A self-realized person knows that he is not the body, but a spiritual soul, aham brahmasmi. At the present moment, practically everyone is unaware of this fact, but one who understands this has attained perfection and is therefore called siddha. When one understands that the soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and one thus engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Soul, one becomes Siddha Sattama. One is then eligible to live in the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Loka. The word Siddha Sattama therefore refers to a liberated, pure devotee. Since the Yamadutas are servants of Yamaraj, who is also one of the Siddha Sattamas, they knew that a Siddha Sattama is above the demigods and sub-demigods, and indeed above all the living entities within this material world. The Yamadutas therefore inquired why the Vishnudutas were present where a sinful man was going to die. It should be noted that Ajamila was not yet dead, for the Yamadutas were trying to snatch the soul from his heart. They could not take the soul, however, and therefore Ajamila was not yet dead. This will be revealed in later verses. Ajamila was simply in an unconscious state when the argument was in progress between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. The conclusion of the argument was to be a decision regarding who would claim the soul of Ajamila. And we'll stop here for today. Hare Krishna. Okay. Yes.
Yesterday we read that Ajamila was ultimately taken by the Vishnudutas because he saw the conversation between them and the Yamadutas. So my question is here it says Ajamila was simply in an unconscious state when the argument was in progress. But yesterday it said that he was purified by their conversation. Or liberated by their conversation.
That's right.
So
he's not liberated yet. He isn't liberated yet. He is liberated after he hears the conversation and the Vishnudutas take him.
Yeah, so here it says he's in an unconscious state, so while he was in the unconscious state, did he hear the conversation or like?
Yes. Unconscious means unconscious to persons around. It's like you're in your body, and you may not be conscious, but you're in your body. So he's still in his body, and the Yamadutas are just about ready to take him out of his body, but then the Vishnudutas came and stopped them. And then they had this conversation, and Ajamila was able to hear the conversation, and by hearing that conversation, he was completely purified. But as we'll see later on, still, he wasn't then taken to Vaikuntha immediately. He had to come back into the body, or not, he had to stay, and then he went to Hardwar somewhere and did some austerities, and very soon he left and went back to Vaikuntha.
So why did the conversation purify him?
It's the same way that the purification, what we're hearing is purifying us.
Because it's the truth, supreme truth.
The Vishnudutas are speaking. The Vishnudutas never speak anything but the truth. The Bhagavatam never speaks anything but the truth. Spiritual master never speaks anything but the truth. So when we associate with those sound vibrations, we become purified. And then, by the will of the Lord, when He's satisfied, then we go back to Godhead. It's not a mechanical arrangement. You put a nickel in, pull the handle, and all the coins come out. It's not like that. Not kind of like a mechanical arrangement. It has to do with the will of the Lord. This is beyond the modes of nature. The laws of nature are acting indirectly under Krishna's direction. But here, when we contact Krishna directly, through His sound vibration, or through His pastimes, or through His personal form, through His name, through His deities, through His service, through His association with His devotees, then when Krishna is pleased, then we go back to Godhead, no matter who we think we are, or what we think we deserve or not. Everything is going on by the will of the Lord. We see when He's pleased, He takes us back. We can't go back just by doing an austerity or by becoming very intelligent or very dutiful.
Supreme control.
Yeah.
Okay, Rati Manjari. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. Thank you for relating to us another wonderful story of the Bhagavatam. In the beginning of the reading, we heard that Srila Rupa Goswami accepted the Puranas as authentic stories which happened within our universe. I have heard that there are 6 Puranas in ignorance, 6 in passion, and 6 in goodness, and that they propound truths on these different levels, for example, on who is the Supreme Person. Is this division correct?
Well,
and if yes, should we as aspiring devotees make a distinction on which Puranas we accept? Or should we simply focus on Srila Prabhupada's books?
Well, you're talking to a biased person. I think we should all focus on Prabhupada's books, and that's what I'm doing. Prabhupada's purports give us the essence of the Puranas, the essence of the Vedas, the essence of the Upanishads, the essence of the Rasa Shastras from the Goswamis, everything. And he gives it to us in a way that it puts it together so we understand things without these apparent contradictions which sometimes confuse us. There are 18 Mahapuranas, or major Puranas. There are many other Puranas besides them, just like there are 108 Upanishads that are appendices to the original Vedas that Vedavyas divided the original Veda into 4, and then these Upanishad verses were assigned to the 4 different Vedas. So the Puranas are smriti. Smriti means remembered. Another way of looking at it is the Vedic Shruti, that means the 4 Vedas, the Upanishads, basically, and the Vedanta Sutra. They are Shruti. They're, not the Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra is written by Vedavyas. Anyway, the Vedas and Upanishads, they're Shruti. So they're eternal sound vibrations. They never can change. Even if different persons bring them into the universe in different universes, the sound is exactly the same. Never changes. And in that sound vibration is contained the codes of how to create universe and how to maintain it and how it is dissolved. It's all given in the Vedas. Now the Smritis explain the Shrutis. The Shrutis are written in a language, or spoken in a language, or vibrated in a language that human beings can't understand, especially in the Kali Yuga. But even before, the language is so esoteric and elevated that it's not meant for us to talk and understand. It's meant for the higher beings, the demigods and beings above the demigods. They can understand the language of the original Vedas. So therefore the Puranas, they are different in the sense they explain the same things, and therefore there are in the Puranas histories and conversations involving some of the same persons who were also discussing in the original Vedas. The original Vedas also have discussions between one great soul and another, explaining different things, different ways of sacrifice, different philosophical concepts and historical events. But the Puranas, they explain the Vedas in language and through the histories that make it easier for us to understand. Just like we all like stories. It's easier for us to understand a philosophical concept given in a story form. Therefore, even great teachers like Jesus Christ talked in parables. Buddha talked in sutras, etc., etc. So, the Puranas, when it says that they're in goodness, passion, or ignorance, that's not a literal way of looking at it. There are things that are transcendental in all the Puranas. It's not that these Puranas are only in ignorance, these are only in goodness. But they're tinged with those modes to attract certain qualities of persons. In the material world, we're all controlled by the modes of material nature. And we have different proportions of them in our bodies and minds, are made of different proportions of them. So those who are predominantly in ignorance, they'll be naturally attracted to those Puranas who are tinged with ignorance. But in all of them, they're all quoted. They're all quoted in the Bhagavatam and the purports. It's not that that you can't listen to this Purana because it's ignorant. It may be tinged to attract a certain kind of person, but the subject matters are basically the same. They're explaining the Vedas. But even those sections, in some cases, even those sections which give discussions about Krishna and his pastimes, or historical events that are in different places in the Puranas and in the Itihasas, the histories, they may be discussed by people who have different degrees of realization. And therefore they'll see the same pastime going on, but they'll see something different than a person who is completely transcendental, or a person who's in the mode of goodness. They may see more. Like a child that comes in who's in ignorance. A child will come in and see the same forms that anybody else sees, but they won't be able to understand completely what's going on. And if their friend said, what was going on over there? Well, and they'll say something, and it won't be exactly the same as a person who is, adult and inquisitive and intelligent. They'll get more from it. So my understanding from listening to Gopi Puranadana Prabhu discuss this subject matter is that it's better not to mix the pastimes of Krishna, just from anywhere, with the ones that are given in the Bhagavatam, which is completely pure goodness, Amala Purana. The Bhagavatam is called the Amala Purana because it's the pure Purana. It's the spotless Purana. There's no tinge of passion or ignorance in the Bhagavatam. Huh?
Pure
Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. So it's like that. There are pastimes of Krishna in all the Puranas. There are statements of different incarnations in all the Puranas. But for us, in the Kali Yuga, who don't have such big brains and big memories and the ability to research all those things and come to the conclusion, very difficult. It's possible, but for us, it's practically impossible. So therefore, we stick with the Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada, by his transcendental scholarship, is bringing into his purports the relevant quotes from the different acharyas. I mean, Prabhupada compiled his purports by looking at the major acharyas in our line to Lord Chaitanya, and also commenting himself by his own realizations. So it's a very complete package that we get in Srila Prabhupada's books. And not only that, but because he was empowered to come to the West and give these scriptures to us, Westerners, who don't really have so much intelligence or ability to understand these things in a way that we can understand them. Therefore, if you don't want to be confused, stick with Prabhupada's books. That's my policy. Because who can say that they've assimilated the whole Bhagavatam? 18,000 verses. Even in one lifetime, to assimilate all those verses and put them all together properly, it's very difficult. Now, having said that, there are statements in Srila Prabhupada's purports which direct us to other scriptures to understand more details. And if we're serious about studying, like Sandarbhas, the 6 Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami, he recommends that anybody who's a serious student should study those. There's a statement in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Lila, chapter 5, verse 203, that, maybe it's chapter 3, chapter 5, 203, in which he states that if anyone wants to understand Krishna's devotees and devotional service, he must read Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Now, shall I give you a sample of what that means? Okay. This is just a sample of what it means, of how unlimited
I'm not sure I understand.
I'm sure you don't. You'll have to take a few births, Siri, before you can understand this. That was pretty far out, wasn't it? Okay, this is a verse from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. It's in the 7th chapter of the second part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It is called the Rasayan section, where Parikshit Maharaj, when he sees that it's going to end, the discussion is going to end, then he quotes all these verses. I mean, Shukadeva Goswami, rather. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Parikshit Maharaj. He's speaking to his mother. Anyway, I explained this before. But this is a verse which comes at the end of Brahma's prayers. You know, the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, when Brahma comes and steals the cowherd boys and calves in order to test Krishna, and then Krishna shows him who's the boss, by expanding himself into all those forms and going back into the village with all those forms expanded from him. And he does that every day for a whole year. And nobody can tell, not even Balaram could tell what was going on. Anyway, at the end, then Brahma comes back and he sees that the cowherd boys are still there. He says, "What's going on? I know that I hid these boys and calves. I put them under my mystic spell." And then he went there to the cave and he found them. He said, "Oh," and then we came back and there they are with Krishna. And then he couldn't understand. And then Krishna, while he was looking at them, he changed their forms into four-armed Vishnu forms. And there was much more to it than that. So then at the end, Brahma just surrendered. He became completely bewildered. He practically fainted. And he's the most intelligent person in the universe. So then he offered these wonderful prayers in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, prayers by Lord Brahma. And in the last prayer, he just asks him if he can leave now. And the purport to this verse in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami is something else. So I thought I'd read it. Okay, here we go. Anujanihi mam Krishna sarvam tvam vetsi sarvadrik tvam eva jagatam nato jagach chaitat devarpitam. My dear Krishna, I now humbly request permission to leave. Actually, you are the knower and seer of all things. Indeed, you are the Lord of all the universes. And yet, I offer this one universe unto you. Purport. Commentary. Now you really have to put on your thinking caps when you listen to this purport. Concentrate, because it's really deep. Now that Brahma's prayers have evoked the Lord's mercy, Brahma's false conception of being Lord of the universe has been erased, and he has achieved the priceless treasure of utter humility. Thus he considers himself unfit to stay near the Brajavasis very long. Fearing he might commit more offenses, he requests permission to return to his own home. Krishna knows everything, including his own greatness and the fallen condition of persons like Brahma. Brahma, therefore, realizing his inability to offer prayers to Krishna properly, asks to be allowed to leave. This verse can also be understood as Brahma's reply to a potential request from Krishna that Brahma further describe the glories of Krishna's beauty and other qualities of devotional service to him and of his devotees who reside in Braja. Anticipating such a request from the Lord, Brahma asks in astonishment whether Krishna actually knows everything about his own glories or not. By asking such a question, Brahma implies that Krishna, though supposedly omniscient, doesn't know his own endless glories in full. Or, understanding this verse another way, Krishna might ask Brahma why he now wants to leave, just after praying for any birth in Braj. Why not simply stay here and delight Krishna's ears with more descriptions of Braja's glories? Brahma answers that Krishna, knowing everything, knows that it will be very difficult for Brahma in his present four-headed body to stay in Braja, and very difficult for him to change that body before his destined to Paradra life is finished. Thus Krishna knows that Brahma in his present life will not get the opportunity to bathe in the dust of the feet of the residents of Braja. And Krishna knows how embarrassing it would be for Brahma to try to describe the glories of those great devotees, a task for which Brahma is altogether unfit. Moreover, Krishna himself is so much in debt to the Brajvasis that he is totally under their control. Their loving devotion alone attracts him, and he dislikes spending even a moment doing anything else than indulging them with his pleasure pastimes. Certainly Krishna, the only source of happiness for Braja, knows all this. So why should Brahma stay just to tell Krishna what he already knows? Or Krishna might be asking Brahma why he submitted prayers without fully considering the complexities of his requests. After all, isn't Brahma the creator of the universe? Shouldn't he know everything? No, Brahma answers, only you are omniscient. The knowledge of lesser persons like me is limited. Or, taking the word sarvadrik to mean one who makes everyone see, who gives all living beings their ability to perceive, Brahma prayed only as inspired by Krishna, the Lord of his heart. Whatever Brahma said, therefore, is not to his own credit or blame. Any credit deserved for these prayers belongs to the Lord, who inspired them. And if there is anything wrong with the prayers, their puppet-like speaker should not be blamed. Krishna certainly knows all this very well. Krishna might retort that what Brahma says is true for a mere servant, but Brahma is much more than a servant. Brahma is the Lord of the universe. No, Brahma replies. You, Krishna, are Jagannath, the real Lord of the universe. Neither Brahma nor any other jiva should be called the Lord of the universe. Everyone is Krishna's servant. Still, Krishna might ask, am I the Lord of the universe? You are the grandsire of the entire visible cosmos, and its rulers are your sons and grandsons and their descendants. How then are you my servant? Brahma, using the word arpita to mean placed within, answers this question by saying that since the whole universe is within Krishna, tava arpitam, all creation is subordinate to him. Or, taking tavarbitam to mean placed by you, it is only because Krishna skillfully placed the universe under Brahma's authority that the universe seems to be Brahma's. And suppose Krishna were to admit that he himself is the Lord of the universe, and that everyone in the universe is therefore his servant. Why then did Brahma condemn non-devotees with such gusto? And why did Brahma praise devotion to the Lord as something exceptional, and beg so enthusiastically to become one of the Lord's servants? Why in particular did he pray for any birth in Braja? What difference should all this make to Brahma if everyone in the universe is already a servant of the Supreme Lord? Brahma answers, of course, everyone is naturally your servant, subordinate to your control. But a servant with pure love for you in one of bhakti's special forms has a super excellent status. Such a position, rarely achieved, is something everyone should strive for. And because service to you in pure love cannot be achieved without complete surrender, I surrender everything I have unto you. Saying this, Brahma offers the universe he considers his own, and the body he considers himself, all to Krishna. And he offers his prayers, hoping they will please Krishna. Everything that exists belongs to Lord Jagannath and is known to him. But that same Lord has directed Brahma from within. Thus inspired, Brahma, like an infant bird, chewing again what its mother has already chewed, offers this universe, together with his personal realizations, hoping that Krishna will accept this offering like a kind parent and excuse him for requesting something impossible. That's the standard of this literature. Okay, I'm going to stop now. It's at 6 o'clock. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Ajamil ki jai. Shukadev Goswami ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow at 4:30, same time, same station.